hey, somebody better give Anthony Hopkins an alarm clock next year. Am I right, Casey?
You know what? You're very right. He better show up for all of his events in the future, or people are gonna make fun of him endlessly on Twitter again.
Yeah. You know what? Who really should have won that Oscar? Riz Ahmed.
I know. Yeah.
Is that in bad taste?
No. Nah.
It's staying in.
Okay, it's staying in. Yep.
We're in it now.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome back to Mind Over Movies. I'm Isaac.
I'm Casey.
I almost said I'm Casey.
And I'm Isaac. We're switched today.
Let's get this started. I'll just start with my terrible takes really quick.
Really quickly. No, I mean I still haven't seen Sound of Metal, which is a no, a bad on my part. I need to watch it.
I think okay, so hey, the Oscars happened, and
Yeah.
hot take, well, not hot take, but controversy of the evening is they set up the whole ceremony like Chadwick Boseman was going to win. Like, they had leading actor after Best Picture.
Which is weird.
And he didn't win. Anthony Hopkins won, which, from what I know, pretty decent win.
Yeah.
Like, maybe the best performance of his career.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, from what I've seen, I've heard The Two Popes is also really good, so I need to watch that, but his
Two
performance
Popes.
in The Father.
Oh, from last year.
Yeah,
I was like,
last
that's
year.
not this year.
No, because like they said the same thing about him last year about his performance in The Two Popes. But I mean, I saw The Father, and I think The Father was it's amazing movie, and he did awesome. So for him to win the Oscar, like I totally can see like why they like chose him to win the Oscar. But then again, you know, I also heard that, which I still need to watch it, but I also heard Boseman's performance in Ma Rainey was amazing as well. Like, so.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, for what might be Anthony Hopkins' career best, I think this might be Chadwick Boseman's career best. Like, honestly, his performance in Ma Rainey's electrifying. And here's the thing about the Best Actor category this year. It was like a 4-way tie, pretty much. I haven't seen The Father, but I imagine it's at that same caliber. But, like, Riz Ahmed really brought his game. Stephen Young really brought his game. I mean, Chadwick Boseman really brought it. I can't remember who else was nominated, but I'm sure to be nominated this year, you had to be, like, class act. You know? And so, I don't know. It always sucks when someone gets snubbed, and it sucks when someone doesn't win. But it's like, this was a really close year. Like, if you were going to lose, this is the most understandable year.
Right, yeah. It's the best year to be nominated because you're all winners in our eyes. For real this time, though.
What's not a winner? Using Chadwick Boseman's likeness for an NFT for your Oscars goodie bags. Like, what the fuck is up with that?
That was weird as hell. Like, I saw that, and I was like, I literally I was on Twitter, and I saw, like, they had a picture of it, and I just looked at it for, like, a solid minute, and I was like, what is this? Like, why? I was trying to decipher, like, why they would include this in a fucking gift bag as well. It's very poor taste, and just kind of fucking like stupid or like I can't.
What's a synonym for stupid?
What's a synonym for stupid? No, it's
idiotic.
Like, it's just like goofy, you know? Like it's so weird. Like I didn't have teeth.
Oh dear. Okay, but I've got some more Oscar winners pulled up. But by the way, I know we said this was going to be a Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode, but we kind of dropped the ball on the fact that the Oscars were this week.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about the Academy Awards.
Like the biggest night for movies, and we were like, we're just not going to cover it. But we have some winners. I guess going from the acting standpoint, Frances McDormand won for Nomad Land.
Yeah.
Frances McDormand is like my favorite actress.
Yeah.
So like, don't get me wrong when I say this, but I don't get it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I haven't seen Nomad Land, but from what I understand, she was just in the movie and she did a good job, but
she always gives exceptional work.
Yeah.
But my thing is, like, she has several Academy Awards now. Like, she won for 3 Billboards a couple years ago, which is another really great movie. I would have liked to have seen this award go to Viola Davis, also in Ma Rainey. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, Ma Rainey wasn't nominated for a lot of stuff, which kind of surprised me because it had some really sharp writing and acting all across the board. Like, I would have liked to have seen that get some more love.
Right.
So, Fight for You won Best Original Song. What is that from?
I have no idea.
Oh, we didn't watch the Oscars, by the way.
No, we didn't watch.
We're just trying to catch up on the highlights.
Yeah. I didn't really care to watch it this year. I just didn't, I don't know. I just wasn't interested this year. But next year I will definitely be watching.
Okay, I'm going to butcher this name. I'm so sorry. Young Ye-hung from Minari, the grandmother from Minari. She won Best Supporting Actress, and that's very well deserved in my opinion. Like,
I heard her performance was really good. I would just also like to say, though, real quick, that Amanda Seyfried for Mank. While I love Mank, I don't understand why she was nominated for Best Supporting for that movie, for that role. She was fine, but she didn't really, nothing stood out to me about her performance there. So that was just weird.
I'm sure Olivia Colman was great in The Father.
She was. Yeah, she was. I knew she wouldn't win, but she was great in The Father. Yeah.
She's just one of my favorite actresses. I will say, I'm glad Minari won. I think that my second place probably would have been Maria Bakalova from Borat's subsequent movie film, because she's fantastic. Like, she holds her own with Sacha Baron Cohen throughout that whole movie.
Yeah.
It's really great. Another Round won Best International Feature Film, which I've heard great things about that. I actually have not caught any of these
I haven't either.
nominees this year.
For the international feature,
And
I haven't.
Last year I only caught Parasite, so I'm just a fake fan.
What? I think last year I caught Parasite and one other, but it really wasn't a competition at that point.
Yeah. I think that I would have watched probably more foreign films this year if movies were like more of a thing.
Right, yeah, definitely.
Chloe Zhao won Best Director for Nomad Land.
Which is very historic. She's only the second woman to win the Best Director award.
No, yeah, this is well deserved, I think. Like, I'll express my thoughts on Nomad Land again later, but I think that one thing you can't deny about that movie is it's fucking beautiful. Like, the shots in that movie, like, pretty much every shot could go on that one perfect shot Twitter.
Right.
Like, and also, it's great to see, Asian Americans win and women win. Like, holy shit, that's amazing. I'm so glad for her. And I'm also really glad for Daniel Kaluuya.
God, yeah.
I haven't seen Judas and the Black Messiah, but I've loved everything he's been in.
That man is a powerhouse, dude. Like, he is an actual legendary actor already. Because of just, like, he brings his A game to literally every single role he's in. Like, every single one. He was even in, he had a small part in the movie Widows.
Yes.
And it was so good.
Widows is really good, and no one talked about it.
Nobody freaking talked about it.
Okay, if you take one thing away, go watch Widows. It's directed by, like, Steve McQueen from 12 Years a Slave, and
it's got Viola Davis.
Yeah, Viola Davis. I can't remember the other people in that movie. I know Liam Neeson's in there. He doesn't matter as much. Like, this is a movie that's definitely all about it's women cast, and it's
amazing.
Fantastic. I love it so much. It was probably one of the better heist movies of the past few years.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Good Ocean's 8, if you will. I will, to dunk on someone in Best Supporting Actor, I will say that Sacha Baron Cohen for Trial of the Chicago 7 kind of astounds me that he's nominated. Like,
kind of an outlier in that film, I feel like.
I don't think he's a bad actor, and I definitely don't think that he did a bad job in the movie. But I would say that Yahya Abdul-Mateen II from Trial of the Chicago 7 probably deserved that nomination a little bit more. His performance as Bobby Seale was so good. I'm conflicted about Trial of Chicago 7 because it's a pretty average outing anyway. Like, it's just definitely, like, the script is its strongest aspect to it. I'm just glad to see Eddie Redmayne not get nominated. Or wait, did he get nominated and I didn't realize?
Eddie Redmayne?
No, thank God.
No.
Also, I forgot to mention this, but Gary Oldman is my favorite actor. But I'm really glad to see him not win this year.
Right.
I didn't want him to.
Yeah. No, he did a great job in Mank, but he's won a lot.
Best animated feature went to Soul this year, which it always goes to a Disney or Pixar movie, so it was pretty much like between Onward and Soul.
Yeah. I like how both Pixar films are in there in the category, like, nominated.
Yeah.
But yeah, Soul is, yeah, I mean...
I think it's the superior one of those two. I think it's a shame. Wolfwakers, I've heard, is like actually like amazing. You know,
I also have heard. I haven't been able to watch it yet,
I'm very annoyed. It's on Apple Plus, or Apple TV or whatever that service is called, and I don't think I'll ever subscribe to it.
Me neither.
But there's so many good shows and movies. I know, go through
and
there.
they have the director's cut of Midsummer on there. Yeah, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
I'm angry.
Yeah.
Okay, so My Octopus Teacher won Best Documentary Feature, and this is the only one I really know much about.
Yeah, so I know. So Collective, I've heard, is actually really great, and The Mole Agent, I think it's on one of my streaming services. It's on my list, but My Octopus Teacher, I remember seeing the trailers for forever ago and thinking like, okay, that looks good. And then I saw it was like nominated for an Academy Award, and then everybody started making fun of it, and I was like, that's funny. Like, it's the obvious. Like, obviously it's gonna win. It's so weird and different, and the title is so baity, you know? Like, I don't know.
Apparently he's horny for the octopus. Well, that's what people are.
That's the jokes people are making. Yeah. Somebody like on Twitter like made a fucking meme. It was like My Octopus Teacher from the other perspective, and the squid's like, "Yo, why this motherfucker following me?" It's like, but
it sounds funny. I don't know. I'll probably end up watching it.
I will probably too.
I've also heard Crip Camp is really good. Like,
I haven't heard anything about that one.
Awe-inspiring. It's like a camp for persons with disabilities, and just like a lot of their stories at that camp. So I don't know. It sounds like a good way to get to my heartstrings. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross were nominated twice this year because they did Mank and they also did Soul. And I've always loved this composing duo. I think that they're fantastic. And also John Baptiste helped them in Soul. So, I mean, why not bring another person in on the love?
I wish they would have won it for Mank, though. Because I feel like I don't remember Soul's soundtrack whatsoever, but I remember Mank's. And I think Manx is just, or maybe it's not better. Maybe they're both equally the same, but I like Manx better. So I would have liked to see it go to Mank.
I actually would have liked to have seen this category go to Minari. I thought that the score of Minari was like so haunting and beautiful. Like I was amazed. Like from the moment the film opens, the Minari score is like in your ear, and it's like, oh my god, I love it. So I still haven't seen Promising Young Woman, but it's won Best Original Screenplay. How do you feel about that?
Considering it beat Aaron Sorkin for Trial is a feat, but yeah, no, I like the screenplay for Promising Young Woman. I know it's a very divisive film right now, and everybody's arguing over whether it's feminist enough or whether it's supposed to be feminist enough and whatnot, and I have my own take on that, but that's another story. But one thing you cannot deny is that the screenplay is super sharp and that it's written really well, I think. Even though the ending may piss some people off, the screenplay is, if you look at it, like just from a screenwriting standpoint, yeah, it's a great freaking story. I know that Minari and Sound of Metal have also been hailed as having like super great stories. So if any one of those would have won, I feel like it would have been also deserved. But I am excited that it won because it was written by a woman, and I think it's a good film. So yeah.
Is this another historic win? I mean, I feel like
I have no idea how many women have won Best Screenwriting credits, to be honest with you. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, I feel like that category has probably been really skewed towards men in the past.
Towards Aaron Sorkin.
I will say, I don't hate Aaron Sorkin, but
I don't either.
I'm glad to see him lose. I just don't. I don't know. I didn't think that Trial of Chicago 7 was like amazing. Like, you
Right.
know, it's not like Social Network tier. It's not even like West Wing tier.
Yeah.
Aaron Sorkin, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, moving on, we've got The Father for best adapted screenplay.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard, it makes people cry.
Yeah.
Really
it's
good.
Adapted from a play. And it's like you can tell it's adapted from a play in the movie, but it's almost like I don't care. Like it still feels really like you know how like the movie Fences, like Fences is adapted from the play.
Yeah, the
and it's
August Wilson
very
play.
obvious that it's adapted from a play because there's large amounts of dialogue in one area, and there's like maybe like 3 or 4 like, you know, settings and the whole thing. The Father all takes place in one house, but it is the way it's done. It is probably the best thing I've ever seen relating to production design and everything. So yeah, the way it was adapted from the play to fit like a cinematic form is absolutely fucking genius. I thought it was amazing. So yeah.
I would love to see it. I've also heard One Night in Miami, the Regina King directorial debut, is also great. Nomad Land, that's intriguing because I know there's a book, but also part of the appeal of the movie is that it's kind of part documentary, part fiction.
Right.
It is interesting in theory. I mean, obviously, I didn't love the movie as much as like a lot of people do, but like, I think, you know, still well deserved for a nomination. The one that confuses me, how it's an adapted screenplay, is Borat's subsequent movie film.
Yeah.
What? How is that?
I don't
adapted?
know.
That seems.
I really
like,
don't know.
You know, it seems like it's pretty original to me.
So I mean, adapted kind of has like a wide, definition when it comes to like film screenplays. So like adapted, so like Borat, he could have read a story that was similar to his story.
Yeah.
And because his story was so similar, he had to kind of adapt it. So he just made it into like a Borat-centered story. That could have classified it as an adapted screenplay, just literally from like a news article or something.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just go through these other categories before Best Picture. Best Visual Effects went to Tenet. I can't really complain. I will say The Midnight Sky, which I think that was the George Clooney directed one. Really disappointing movie. We watched it. Really boring.
Right.
And also obvious. Like, I don't know. Like, there's a twist in there, and it just made me, like, roll my eyes. It was like, ugh. And then I know Best Sound went to Sound of Metal, which that's a well-deserved win. Like, oh my gosh, I loved what they did with the sound. Like, that really, I mean, it struck at what it felt like to be deaf. I know they didn't consult any deaf people, though, so that's a damn shame.
Right.
I think Best Production Design going to Mank also makes sense.
I like that, yeah.
I mean, period pieces usually take home the shit, and I mean, that seems well-deserved. Ma Rainey being nominated for that's great, too. Ma Rainey only won like Best Costume Design and Best Makeup, which I mean those are big wins. Like, don't get me wrong. So I mean Ma Rainey, now the Suicide Squad of this year, if you will.
Yeah, disgusting.
Best Cinematography went to Mank,
which is, I'm happy, very happy.
I don't know how Trial of the Chicago 7 weaseled its way onto
I
this
don't
list.
either.
That's not.
Probably because then Sorkin directed as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably because his good graces with the Academy. I don't know.
Here's the problem with Trial of the Chicago 7 in a nutshell. Like, Aaron Sorkin's a great writer, but unfortunately, Aaron Sorkin got held back this year by Aaron Sorkin, the director. Yeah. It's like, give your scripts away, dude. You know, let someone else take it from here, Poppy.
Yeah.
Okay, and let's just go ahead and jump to what's usually the big category of the night. Obviously, they put Best Picture before Best Actress and Best Actor this year, again, as bait for anyone watching to see Chadwick Boseman win. But Nomad Land won Best Picture. And Casey, what would have been your pick for Best Picture? Just wondering.
Honestly, so I haven't I was bad this year. I didn't see Minari or Sound of Metal or Nomad Land. I still need to watch them. But, out of the ones I saw and out of the things I've heard, I wouldn't have been mad if it went to Minari or Mank or even The Father. I kind of was like, maybe I was like, in the back of my mind, I was like, what if The Father won Best Picture? That'd be super dope, like, because it's a great movie. But in the back, I kind of knew it was either going to be Minari or Nomadland. So I'm not surprised. My pick would have, out of all this, it would have been either Minari or Mank, just because I would have liked to see another Asian director take a win for Best Picture, which would have been really cool. But Nomadland won, and it's a woman-directed film, which is another historic win. So, I'm fine with it, but definitely my pick probably would have been Mank or Minari.
I think I would have gone with Minari this year. I wanted to see The Father really bad. I've heard it's great. It was between Minari and Sound of Metal for me, but I definitely think I like Minari more. I'm not upset that Nomadland won. I think it's well deserved. I just think for once, I don't get it. I see why there's a lot of love towards this movie. I just personally walked away a little bit disappointed and honestly a little bit bored. You know, I get that the style that Chloe Zhao has is very meditative and that's throughout all her work. But I don't know, maybe one day I'll revisit the movie and see it's actually really great. Just like this watching, I didn't get much out of it, but that's film in a nutshell.
Right.
It doesn't always click with you at first. I mean, Blade Runner, not to compare Nomad Land and Blade Runner because I don't think they have anything in common.
Right.
But that's another movie that I think of whenever I think of movies that I didn't really get at first and thought were boring. I had to watch Blade Runner 3 times, and I had to change the cut.
Exactly.
I watched the theatrical cut the first time I watched Blade Runner, so I had no idea how good it could be. Apparently, Harrison Ford dunked on the theatrical cut of Blade Runner last night. That was a big moment.
Really?
He came out and was making fun of it.
I did. Oh, dang, I need to watch the highlights then.
Me too.
That's funny.
Yeah, we don't do research or anything for this podcast. No, we do research normally. We didn't catch the Oscars. Okay, yeah. I had work. You had stuff
a birthday
going
on, and I did. And also, I was sickly. I didn't feel like watching it. You
know,
my
man's was sick.
Yeah,
but not with COVID-19.
No, because get that shit out of here. But no, you're not the only one that doesn't like Nomadland, though. My I have a professor who is a he's right now he's teaching a course on women in the director's chair. That's what the course is called. So he knows he's very knowledgeable in female directors and female work because his work is kind of informed by female directors and stuff because he relates to female directors more. And he said he almost went on a rant one class because he's like, Nomadland is not a good movie. He's like, people are putting it on a pedestal that it shouldn't be on. He's like, I hate it. I don't like it. So I'm interested. I have his class today. I can't wait to see what his reaction's going to be to it winning. He probably would have liked to see anything else win.
He's just going to go for an hour and a half. But anyway, all you film snobs, get the frick out of here. We're about to talk about some serious stuff. Okay, if you guys haven't seen The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, just frick off, man.
Yeah, frick off. You won't understand. We're talking about Marvel now. You wouldn't understand.
Marvel, okay? Because Spider-Man Far From Home should have won Best Picture last year. Yeah. And it's a dang shame it didn't.
Yeah, because it's obviously the best Spider-Man movie.
It's the best Spider-Man movie.
Of all time.
And also, was there a Marvel movie that came out last year? No, there wasn't. There was none, right? Because it was supposed to be Black Widow.
Yeah.
And then that didn't come out.
There was no Marvel last year. Yeah.
I swear, I thought there was something, but wow. No. And we didn't even get a show. WandaVision didn't come out till this year.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we're back on the Marvel train. We are gonna spoil Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I guess we don't have to jump into that. Let's maybe give overall thoughts first?
Yeah. Spoiler-free thoughts right now.
Well, there have been 2 episodes that have aired since we last talked about the show, and it's wrapped up. So, Casey, what did you think about season 1?
Pretty good. I think it took a while to get its feet off the ground story-wise. I still say the cinematography and the editing are absolute garbage. It gets better.
Ass.
It's ass. It gets better in the last 2 episodes, I think. But after, those couple episodes, I honestly think episode 3 is the worst episode. But the story finally like kicks off, and like once you understand where they're trying to go with the story and what they're trying to do like with the show, it's pretty entertaining and it's pretty good, and the themes that they dealt with are great. Like they needed to be directly confronted head on, especially in this day and age, and I think that was done pretty well. Especially, like, there couldn't have been a better story they could have talked about race relations with, than this story that they have here. And I'd say I'm more sympathetic towards the villain in this show. She's not a super memorable, like, villain, but, like, I guess maybe since the show's, like, so fresh on my mind, and it's a show, we saw 6 episodes of her instead of just an hour and a half, but the villain wasn't too bad. The whole that organization, its motives and everything is super understandable, and it creates actual friction in your head when you're watching. You're kind of conflicted because you're like, wait a minute, like, yeah, I want to see them beat the shit out of bad guys, but are they really bad guys? Which I thought was great. So yeah, the show really surprised me. I thought WandaVision was going to be the better out of the 2, but I've ended up and maybe enjoying this one a little better than WandaVision, or at least a little better than the second half of WandaVision. So, yeah.
Coming off your ending, I am going to say I think I still like WandaVision a bit more. I think what that really came down to was production. I think the show had pretty terrible production at times, which really distracted for me. Like, it really distracted me from, like, enjoying it a lot of times, because it feels very TV budget Marvel.
Oh, definitely.
Whereas like WandaVision kind of embraced its TV setting. I feel like Falcon and the Winter Soldier was often hindered by the fact that they were trying to do a blockbuster on this scale. Now, that doesn't mean that it was a bad show or that it looked like completely cheap. Like, obviously, this must be one of the most expensive TV shows like ever produced. Like, and I'm not knocking like how it looked the whole time. It's just like there were a lot of choices with the cinematography, especially that you and I both noticed that it was just distracting. Like, not all the action looked fluid. I will say that I think in episode 3, even though like the story was probably the most confused, I would say that that's probably what had the best action, because they brought the John Wick guy on board. Yeah, and you can tell.
Stileski.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it slapped.
Yeah, definitely.
I will say something about this show that surprised me is that I was often more invested in it when it was addressing its themes rather than its like action-y Marvel subplots. Like, this shouldn't be too much of a surprise, but the show addresses race. And the last like superhero show I saw do that was Watchmen, which I think had more time and more energy to like tackle it fully and like really put like a lot of weight behind it, and had some subtlety. But I think for Marvel, I'm not saying that Marvel can't have subtlety, but like I think that with a lot of its viewer base, it's good to like come out of the woods swinging, and just really address it head on. Like, that's what I like about like movies like Zootopia even, it's like sometimes you do just need to like state what should be blatantly obvious to people, like racism is bad, and here's some terrible things about race that we don't think about, and it was really interesting to see the show tackle that. I definitely think that it was more interesting as a character piece too. More often when the characters were separated, like I was kind of waiting the whole show for this team to click for me, like Sam and Bucky to like really, jump off the screen and be one of my new favorite on-screen duos. But I liked them both a lot more when they were separated
Yeah,
and doing their
I
own
agree.
thing.
Yeah.
And that was something that I thought early on would change, but it never really did. Like, it just kind of seemed like they took focus away from each other when they were together. And, yeah. Like, even in the finale, like, when they... Yeah, I mean...
the duo never clicked for me, to be honest. I like I like both characters. I just don't like them. I don't think they work together as much as Marvel would like them to.
I think that's what gives WandaVision the edge for me, is that Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen are like fucking
dynamite.
Yeah, they're amazing together.
Yeah.
And those performances are really class acts. And that's not to say Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan don't bring their A game. I just think together, and it's not even their fault. I think it's the writing. Like, they didn't know how to write these characters together.
Exactly.
And yeah, I don't think I can say anything else that you haven't already said. So I think maybe we should get into spoilers now. If you don't want to hear spoilers for this, if you just came for the Oscars and just want to hear some fun tidbits at the end as we're closing out, skip to this timestamp.
53 minutes and 37 seconds. Losers. Just kidding. Love you.
All right, we're in spoiler territory now. Let's get right into it.
Captain America is another guy? Well, okay, so there's two Captain America moments, depending on if you're racist.
Yeah, that's true.
So, the first one is at the end of the first episode, which I will say is one of the most, like, exciting cliffhangers in a while.
Oh,
like,
yeah, I loved it.
Wyatt Russell coming out and being Captain America. You can already tell, just under the mask, this guy's a dickhead. Like,
right.
You don't like him already.
No, right.
I liked his turn in this show. Like, what I thought was interesting about this character, John Walker, is that he did walk that villain territory sometimes. Like, he walked into that line. But a lot of the times he was a very sympathetic character, or at least you could understand that he's going through a lot, is under, like, tremendous pressure. And I think by the finale, like, it's pretty clear that he's not fully vilified. No, he's more like an anti-hero.
Yeah. Which I'm interested to see. There's been some theories. The first immediate one I thought of was in episode 4 after he fucking smashed through his head. Which was an awesome cliffhanger for that episode as well. My mind immediately thought, I was like, oh, are we doing like the Dark Avengers? Or is there like and then that lady coming up and saying, like, you know, I have a proposition for you and stuff like that. And then other people were like, maybe it's the Thunderbolts. And then, you know, at the end it's revealed he's the U.S. agent, which I don't know a whole lot of comic lore about the U.S. agent. But I can tell, like, that woman, you know, she's about to gather a team, and I want to see, like, maybe, like, not, I guess they're not doing, like, the Avengers anymore, or maybe they are, I don't know. I want to see, like, a crossover event, like, the Avengers versus, like, this team. I think that'd be, like, a Civil War type thing. I think that'd be super dope, and if that's where they're headed, then, whoo, I'm ready for that, because I no longer want to see the Avengers, you know, killing off mindless drones, aliens, and the like. I want to see them fight actual people, and there be, like, stakes, and, like, so if we, like, know all the characters on both sides, like, kind of like Civil War was, it's like, we're, like, ready for a fight, but we're also, like, don't kill these characters, you know, but if we have that again with, like, anti-heroes and stuff, I think that'd be awesome.
It would be pretty sick nasty, I think. I wonder if they are going in that direction, because it seems like this next phase of Marvel is going to be very alien-based, like the Skrull?
The Skrulls,
Yeah, or are they... No, yeah, there's Skrulls. They seem to be the focus of this next phase, or at least that's what WandaVision was setting up. And that's the one thing I really appreciated about this show, is that we didn't have a finale that, like, spent 30 minutes, like, setting up, like, Skrull shit. Like, thank God, you know?
Right.
I don't think that the finale really resolved everything, super satisfactorily. I mean, we might see some things in Captain America 4, because another spoiler alert, which, I mean, we're in the spoiler section.
Right,
you done knew.
You done knew.
Sam Wilson, Captain America now, which I'm glad that we didn't have any, like, moment where we had to see him, like, building the suit. He just comes out in the finale in that new suit.
Which is, like, translated so well from the comics. Like, if you look at the comic version and this version, it's like the best, like, suit ever. You know, I think it looked fucking awesome.
I like the suit. And I also like that he's not jacked up on super serum. Like that Sam Wilson has remained himself throughout this whole thing. I will say that it did seem like he was on something, though. I mean, because if you remember in, like, the Winter Soldier, like, Sam has to catch, like, Captain America at some point, and he's like, oh, wow, carrying all this weight's crazy. And then in this episode, he's like, oh, it's just a truck? I'm just gonna...
Yeah. Oh, my God. Everybody was fighting about that on Twitter, and I was like, is this really what we're taking away, is how he lifted the truck? Like... I mean, I was thinking the same thing, but at the end of the day, I'm just like, it's a fucking Marvel, like, TV show. Like, Marvel, like Tony Stark would have already been dead by the first movie, because if you're in a suit and you're falling off a building and you hit the thrusters right at the end, all his guts would have fucking, like, shifted and he would have died. Like, I just don't think about that stuff.
Yeah.
Like...
I always wonder, like, why is it that film Twitter takes up, like, issue with physics, you know, like, with Star Wars, The Last Jedi, it was like, oh, the bombs shouldn't drop vertically like that, what the hell's going on? And nowadays, like, I just think that if you wanted to criticize the show, there's, like, so many more obvious elements, like, you know, if you want to criticize that there's a lack of stakes, don't criticize the truck moment, like criticize the fact that we don't know who the fuck we're rooting against by the finale. Like,
exactly.
I will say, I did think that Carly was you know, the most common villain other than maybe Zemo. I think Carly was supposed to be like a more sympathetic figure. What really pissed me off with this show is that thing I was talking about. When we first started talking about the show, it's like Marvel will have villains that have really great points that you agree with, like Killmonger, and then they realize, oh shit, they're too agreeable, they're too sympathetic, we gotta make them evil somehow. And like at the end of the third episode, she's like, let's blow up our friends because it's like, because you're not bad enough yet. You know?
It was like the like, well, there's got to be a fight, so she's got to, like, turn, you know, a little bit more evil. And like, in this show, like, if they would have explained, like, they took some time to explain her, like, reasoning and her thoughts after the fact that she already blew up a fucking truck and killed, like, 6 people. And it's like, okay, that probably would have made more sense if we had all this, like, these character moments before that, and then we could understand, and then we could be like, oh, no, don't do that. But then, in that episode, she just did it, and we're just like, why? But then we figure out the why later, and it's like, it's still, you know, this is, like, the probably the most Marvel's ever been with, like, messing with the gray area and the line. Like, Killmonger, you're like, okay, I agree, and then he goes on a killing spree, and you're like, okay, never mind.
We can't do that.
He's evil. But with Carly, it's like, okay, I agree. It's like, oh, she's doing some. That was kind of questionable. But then she kind of explains herself, and then you're back to like, okay, well, I agree, but also like we don't agree, and then, like that's the closest Marvel's ever been to like having like an actual like, you know, like, well, who do I agree with, and like what should happen here, which is fun, but. Good God, dude! It took me 3 episodes to really understand what was going on with the villain. You know, or like what exactly, you know, what they wanted to do and what their goal was and why they were being opposed. It just comes down to writing, honestly.
There were like 4 villains. And it was kind of hard to tell which one the show was zeroing in on. Which I'm not saying that you have to zero in on a villain. It's just like. You have the Spider-Man 3 effect happening, which is like there are too many people at this party, and we gotta focus on someone. To quote Donald Glover, "Get out of my house! I didn't invite you." No, wait, I totally butchered that line.
I don't even know what you're referring to.
Because the internet, there's that song where all the people are at his house, and he's like, he says something like. get all these people out of my house. I didn't invite you. Yeah, I don't know. There's like a party happening at his house.
Oh God.
I don't know how to describe it.
Well, I mean, hey,
I should have researched.
The allegory fits.
Listen to Because of the Internet.
Yeah.
And but the problem was like there was the power broker who was very confusing as a villain. Like, I think that was just a way too convoluted plot line. We knew who it was by like the moment she showed up.
Yeah,
like,
I was like, okay.
It was Sharon Carter. Like, it was pretty obvious it was going to be Sharon Carter after a point.
But it's Sharon Carter. That's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if she's a Skrull.
Scroll theory. That's the funny thing about Marvel now is like any person you see on screen now could be a Skrull or a Martian Manhunter.
Exactly. Thank you, Daddy Snyder.
that was a Zack Snyder's Justice League joke. You might be confused. Isn't this a Marvel throwdown? Fuck it.
Fuck it.
But yeah, so Sharon Carter, that was a disappointing turn. They brought Zemo back from Civil War as another villain. He seemed to be the most consistently villainous villain, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't like his character in Falcon and Winter Soldier. I don't like Zemo. If you watch Civil War, Zemo doesn't have fun. And this entire show, though, this season, he's having fun and he's cracking jokes, and it's such a shift that I'm like, that's not at least the Baron Zemo we were introduced to in Civil War. I like the Civil War Zemo a bit better than this one. Like, that's why I said it was a bastardization of the character, because it made no fucking sense how he just started, like he was doing the witty banter with, all of them. And I don't know, like with the Civil War, it was just, I just felt his character was a lot more like sinister and like a force to be reckoned with. But in this one, he's just like Loki 2.0, except not 2.0. Like Loki 1.5.
He's like, I am a Nazi scientist, but also I'm kind of fun.
Yeah, dancing in the club.
That
was on Twitter for a while.
I think that there was like a healthy medium here, because I don't think that Zemo was a great character in Civil War. I think he was kind of like boring and one note there, but I don't think that this was the answer. Like,
yeah, I know.
And that was my problem with a lot of the show, is like their solution to a lot of confusing dynamics was to just quip through it.
Yeah.
Like that's especially the problem with Bucky and Sam, is that like anytime they're on screen together, like they never have like too many real moments. They quip and quip and quip. Like the few moments that they're serious are so good. Like there's that moment in like episode 5 where like Sam and Bucky are talking about like the shield, and like Sam's feeling the weight of being a black man and like using the shield, and Bucky's like, I'm sorry. Like that's great.
Yeah.
But like the shit in episode 2 where like they're just constantly like doing the activities, like, oh, I love this one.
Yeah.
I did like the Gandalf joke though. That one landed for me, but you can't just quip the whole fucking time. You have to be real.
Yeah, I hated that scene in episode 2. Like episodes 2 and 3 are like the ones that I like the least. Like I was feeling very disappointed in the show with episodes 2 and 3. But,
which sucked because that's when they teamed up.
Exactly.
And it's like, oh god, is the whole thing gonna be like this?
Yeah. Luckily it brought it back though. I think episode 5 was probably my favorite episode. Actually, the ending of 4 and the beginning of 5 is fucking amazing.
There's episode 4 and 5, Chad, top tier.
Top tier.
Okay, there was 2 more villains I was gonna... Oh yeah, there's John Walker, who we've talked about, more of an anti-hero. Right. And then they bring in Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and for a second I thought she was the power broker, the way she was talking to John Walker, but I mean that came to pass. She was just a momentary distraction from Sharon Carter. They didn't really have Sharon in episode 5, so you were able to forget for a minute how obvious it was that she is the power broker. I will say, with all these villains, it was very confusing as to like what plot to be invested in, because there's like 4.
Yeah. And they're all intersecting and shit, and it gets super convoluted.
And I get that like the whole show is going for like a spy thriller thing that the Captain America movies ended up doing after Captain America: The Winter Soldier, but I think it was kind of messy here, and and convoluted, and I think that in the end, like, I would rather have like the straight up storytelling of WandaVision, even though it kind of sunk like the Titanic at the end, you know, like it really was a stinker in the end. But I think that consistently it was better in the earlier part of its season, whereas the show just kept being hit or miss. You know, like you have great moments where Sam goes to talk to Isaiah, and you know we learn about the past of Captain America, and just we get real about being a black man in America. And then we just have the silliest, dumbest shit, like quipping with Baron Zemo at the club, you know?
Yeah, it's tonally all over the place, I feel like. And yeah, and that partly goes with the tone for me is set with the editing and the cinematography and the fact that it's so ass, and pair that with a story that doesn't know where it's going, at least in the first 3 episodes, man, like that it creates a tone, like it creates 2 or 3 different tones, and it's all over the freaking place. It cannot decide what it wants to be, and it angers me. And also, can I just say, in that first episode, because I've watched the first episode twice, that therapist scene with Bucky, that is the most poorly shot, poorly edited thing I have ever seen. I mean, what the fuck are those angles, dude? It's literally above their head, but it's like blurred out, and like the only thing in focus is like the top of their eyebrows and their nose. It's the worst shit I've ever seen. Like, it's really bad. I hate it. Thanks, I hate it, Marvel. I hate it so much.
I agree. I actually didn't remember the first episode's therapy scene, but I am just thinking like about those shots now, and it's just like, ugh.
It's really bad, and it's like that throughout the rest of the series. Like the only time I didn't notice it was like episodes 5 and 6, because I don't know if they just like decided to stop fucking around and just fucking make a shot list, but like, oh my god, dude, it's so noticeably bad. Like even in scenes where it shouldn't be noticeable. Like I noticed it in episode 3 with Baron Zemo, and they're in the plane. The angles are like if like Sam's sitting in the chair, they were like on the ground at an angle shooting him, and they shot the entire dialogue scene like that, and it was like I had a headache. I was like, stop. It was like only like a minute long scene, but it gave me a headache, and I was like, dude, just place the camera like in front of them or like to the side to get a 2 shot. Like, oh my god, they didn't know like how to shoot this. I don't know if it was like the director who wanted like this stuff, or if it was just they just had like a really shitty DP. But man, it's really bad. And the editing, it didn't help its case any, because the editing, they picked the worst shots for the wrong pieces of dialogue, especially in those like therapist scenes and stuff.
I'll also say like moments that stood out to me were like the finale, like the fight between Carly and Sam, and then also like the French guy, and like everything in that building or in that tunnel or whatever is just a fucking mess. Like,
yeah.
I hated watching that fight. Like there was the jump cuts, which I've always hated that style of editing too. Like I like, and this is just a personal preference for me, I'll acknowledge, but you know, I like fights that have like long takes, and it seems like there's, you know, some savagery happening. It just seems like anytime there was a hit here, there would be a cut. And I don't know, it was also just like very choppy and very silly, and like a lot of the dialogue too in that fight scene was silly, like the stay down, and then immediately followed by fight back.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what?
Yeah, the dialogue didn't make any sense there.
They were trying to call back to like, you know, Iron Man, I guess, going like stay down, and Cap being like, I could do this all day,
right?
But Carly sounded a bit silly. She couldn't make up her mind. She was like, I want you to stay down, but I also want you to fight me.
I want you to beat the shit out of me.
I really don't know what I want. Yeah. Just the production in this show, just really distracting.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that was really above average was the CGI. I think, or at least with like Bucky's arm anyway. Like I forgot that that's like a CGI blend of practical effects. Too.
Yeah,
that looked really sharp.
His arm looks amazing.
Also, any digital backgrounds. I don't know. I feel like they took the Mandalorian style where they had sets and then, CGI backgrounds. I'm not quite sure, but it seemed like in a lot of scenes, they were doing that because, like, there would be very real looking objects and then the background would be kind of, like, expansive and it looked like there were a lot of people and shit.
Yeah, they're using that same technology, I think, that they use on the Mandalorian, which is that... it's like I forget what it's called, but it's like some kind of dome, or it's like a whole room, and the room they can literally edit visual effects and the space, like while they're shooting. It's crazy. Like we're living in a fucking fantastic time for film and television because that technology is crazy. Because I watched a clip of just like, who plays the Mandalorian?
Oh, Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal just stepping up onto like his set, like it's a real set, right? He's on sand, and then they turned on the giant like panoramic screen, and then it was just this. He was like on like fucking Tatooine or something, and then they started like putting objects in, and like when they'd play, like it like animate. I don't know, it's crazy stuff. Vox has a whole little short doc on like the technology, and it's really interesting. And I assume they did the same thing for this show and WandaVision, so which is why I think WandaVision somehow looked better than the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Oh yeah, across the board. I think again, like that was just embracing like different TV eras. Like it's not that expensive, it turns out, to replicate a 40s television show.
Yeah.
I think where WandaVision got really cheap was the finale. Like you add those visual effects in and those silly fight scenes, and it's like, oh, yeah, this looks like ass again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have much more to say about Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, we just dogged on it for a while, but no, like I enjoyed the series.
I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's all that great either. I definitely think that this is one of those where, people don't really understand that there's a middle ground with, like, enjoyment factor. Like, it's either you really have to love something or you really have to hate something. So I fully anticipate in the coming weeks there's going to be a lot of video essays like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the worst Marvel property yet. And there's going to be a lot of video essays like, I love the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's a masterpiece. There's that line from Baron Zemo that's like, it's a complete, competent, concise masterpiece or something. I don't remember the quote. People remember Marvel quotes, and I'm like, shit, I don't even remember Marvel movies when I watch them.
It's like, bro, did that stick with you that much to, like, repeat it and blast it all over social media? But yeah, I agree. The video essayists, they're coming.
They're coming, and they're coming hard.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're out of the spoiler zone, so, this is just like free talk hour about, film criticism in general, but I know that people like fucking... Do you watch Mahler on YouTube?
No.
He's the guy that does that show, like, Unbridled Rage.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Just, like, like, I get the appeal of film criticism like that. It's like, oh, art's subjective, things can be, like, objectively bad and objectively good. It's just, like, fans of that kind of content are so annoying because they hear the talking point from, like, the guy, from, like, Mahler. They'll go to his channel and he'll be like, it's actually illogical that the Falcon would be lifting a truck like that. And then they'll go on Twitter and literally just say that every day for the next 3 years.
Exactly, yeah.
It's like, remember when Marvel was good? Well, now they have black people lifting trucks. Little sus.
Little sus.
Is this Among Us? Because that's sus, brother.
Yeah. I saw, like, the same sort of thing with the dialogue in episode 5 when Sam's talking about, you know, being a black man, and I know our friend Jacob, his Twitter got blown up because he made a really good point about, he's like, you know, if this made you, this guy was complaining that the dialogue wasn't subtle, or that there was no subtext. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? We've been dealing in subtext the last 4.5 episodes, and Marvel's been dealing in subtext in forever now, you know, with that stuff. And it's like, there's the time and place for subtlety, and then there's a time and place for just like, you need to just say it, you know, we're gonna be brash about it. And that scene was fine. In fact, I remember thinking like, wow, this is really great dialogue. And then I guess the consensus with, you know, racist people, I guess, is that no, it's not good dialogue because there's no subtext. And it's like, stop it.
Please.
Like, please. Like, that is a great scene, and, you know, we don't need any more subtext and beating around the bush, dancing around the issue. Just come out and say it, because it honestly was a great scene because he was just saying it and laying it all out there, and I thought it was great. And then, you know, fucking film Twitter, or at least a portion of film Twitter, I constantly think about this tweet from this journalist I follow. He has a podcast called Far Harbors, and he's Asian American, and he's a really funny dude, and he's a film critic / reviewer, and he posted a tweet one day, and it said, film Twitter is just a never-ending discourse of old Martin Scorsese movies, canceling Robert Downey Jr. for Tropic Thunder, and I think something about shitty racist takes or something that. And he's like, thanks, I hate it. And I was like, that is so true, because that is exactly what it is. And it is, yeah.
This show is definitely going to be split down the line politically, which I hate that, you know, even our television is now like, you know, either the right wing takes it or the left wing takes it.
Right.
Like, you know, it doesn't have to be that politicized. Obviously, this show is striking at some pretty significant political themes, so I understand why it happens. But like, they're just idiots who pick this shit up, and like, I hate it. Like Tim Pool, who, by the way, is one of the biggest dumbasses on Twitter. He used to be like a journalist for Vice, if that tells you anything. Oh, but he was like, he tweeted at the start of the show, he was like, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier is so woke, and I kind of hate it. And then, like 5 episodes in, he's like, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier is kind of anti-woke, and I love it.
Oh my God.
Just shut up. Get out of here with your shitty fucking takes. Like, my God, no one is asking you if the show is too woke or not, you know? Like, yeah. I don't care. Like, I kind of want the word woke to be stricken from, like, film criticism, because I don't think it's ever been used, like,
seriously,
to have, like, a constructive, like, conversation about anything, or, like...
It's for channels like The Quartering and other, like, right-wing, like, owning the libs kind of media.
You bet your ass Julia Louis-Dreyfus showing up with, like, hair dye in episode 5 is gonna get people like pissed off. It's gonna be like, this show is SJW trash. Sometimes I'm okay, and then sometimes I remember that the right wing film critics like couldn't handle the fact that Laura Dern had like purple hair in The Last Jedi.
Oh my God, yeah, they're like, look at it, purple hair, and I'm like, oh,
it's like, of all the things in The Last Jedi, this is the one that we're focusing on right now as like SJW trash. Are you kidding me? Oh. I also want SJW stricken from film criticism. Like woke SJW. Like, I have never heard these words and seen a good take followed. You know, that's the damn truth.
True.
I mean, I will say I'm trying to say like, oh, you know, both sides are annoying, but like really it's right wing film critics that really piss me off.
Yeah. You know? The left wing annoys me when they fucking psychoanalyze a fucking Winnie the Pooh movie. Yeah, I'm like, listen, it's not that deep. We don't have to do that shit, you know. And they'll do that with Marvel products all the time. And I'm like, you know, like, yeah, there's something to be said about, you know, you can deeply analyze anything, and like most of the times it'll be interesting. But the way they do it is so freaking annoying and childish. It's like, okay, shut up. Like, nobody fucking cares. So that's like the polar opposite end that annoys the shit out of me. And it's all on Twitter.
It is mostly Twitter that I...
Heavenly platform. Here.
Okay, but let me say something. Film Twitter is better than, like, film TikTok, you know?
Oh my God! I wanted to talk about that. I forgot about you sharing that on... Oh, it's so bad.
The top 10 most underrated movies of all time. Number 9, The Truman Show.
Oh, God.
Have you guys seen Whiplash? That movie is criminally underrated.
I literally saw somebody say The Grand Budapest Hotel. They're like, nobody talks about it. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? People won't fucking shut up about it. Like,
well, I love when, like, people discover Wes Anderson and think, like, wow, what an underrated, like, artist. Like, there's a difference between living under a rock and someone being underrated, okay? Like,
yeah.
He has had a successful film career for, like, almost 30 years now. You're just late on this one.
Yeah. You're just extremely late.
I think that's just the thing. It's like, you know, I want people to be passionate about what they love and have, like, takes and say their piece. But, like, sometimes you're just, like, really overdoing it. And, like, you just really don't get, like, the culture, you know, at the time.
Yeah.
And that shoots both ways. Like, again, I would say that I would rather have people who are too overly passionate and, like, stans, I guess.
Yeah.
Rather than this just, like, nitpicky, overcritical, and just, like, hateful, like, you know, film criticism that's, like, jumped up, you know. And that's... we're shooting up, okay? It's okay. We're like not shooting up heroin, but like we're punching upwards at like big channels right now. But like that's the thing. We're not shooting up. We're not shooting up. Take that out. No, I'm kidding. But like, you know, there's like podcasts on YouTube where like people will go and watch other people's videos about why they like something, and they'll be like 6 hours long, and it'll be like, objectively, you're stupid for liking that. And it's like, that's just toxic, man. Like, I don't care if you enjoy something or not. Like, your opinion does not matter that fucking much. And that at the end of the day, our opinion doesn't matter that much. If you don't agree with what we say, we're not going to try and convince you otherwise. Like, you know,
you can like turn the podcast off if you want. I mean, we'd rather you not, but like, we're not sitting here being the guardians of film criticism. Like, fucking, like, the angry drunk, or the angry, the drunk, sorry,
Casey's drunk right now.
Yeah, no,
he shot up and now he's drunk.
Like, it's on the same lines of the nostalgia critic.
Oh, yeah.
The critical drinker. Mm-hmm. Like, their kind of content is so annoying, and it's like, they're super gatekeepy, I feel like. With, you know, like, film. And the thing is, they criticize the stupidest shit, you know, from films. And I don't know, you say we're punching up, I say we're punching down. I think they're like, I don't like those YouTube channels. I don't think they have...
We gotta get more than 12 views on a YouTube video before we say punching down.
Okay, well, if the critical drinker and nostalgia critic are gonna listen to this podcast...
That'd be hilarious.
That would be hilarious.
I wonder how we get Doug Walker, the nostalgia critic, to listen to this podcast. We probably...
Super Meg has been dunking on him for years in their podcast, and he still hasn't responded to them, so I don't know.
That's one thing about him, you know, he's like very, he's embedded in like so many controversies. The thing is, he just never responds to any of them.
Yeah.
It's the Thomas Jefferson approach. Have you heard, like, Thomas Jefferson, when he was president, like, people would scandalize him and, like, you know, talk about the fact that he, like, has a bunch of slaves and, you know, has children with them. And what he did is he just didn't respond to the criticism, and he brushed it off, and, like, obviously, like, he was doing some terrible shit, and, like, I'm not saying he should have escaped criticism, but I'm saying it does seem to work when you ignore people who are, like, bashing you. like what power do they have anymore? Like if they're just trying to get a reaction out of you and you don't give them anything, like it's like, oh well, I don't know.
Yeah. I guess I'll go inside now. Like, yeah. Man, interesting approach.
We've rambled a little bit about fan culture, I guess, about anti-fan culture.
Yeah. I'd say YouTube film Twitter culture.
I'm always down to talk about that shit. What a mess, But I think if you take away one thing from this episode, it's like our opinion isn't like scripture or anything.
No.
Like I think The Falcon and the Winter Soldier is a decent show.
I think it's a decent show that has great moments.
Yeah, really great
moments. Yeah.
I think those moments get bogged down by some pretty shitty stuff, but like overall, I would say, like, if you're a fan of Marvel, like, you would be remiss to not watch this show,
Yeah.
But anyway, that's that. We have really enjoyed doing this episode, and we really enjoyed last week, I think.
Yes.
Moving forward, we're going to probably have a Q&A section in each episode, I think.
We're going to try something like that, yeah.
Yeah, we're just going to see how that goes, so... if you see us on Twitter, respond to stuff. We'll incorporate your ideas, your takes. Jacob had a really good idea. Speaking of Jacob, that we incorporate your thoughts on our topics before we release an episode about it. So we'll try and have more interaction on social media with you guys before we do one of our big topics. I know it's been a bit since we've done like a topic.
Yeah.
But we do have one lined up for next week if you're still down to do it. Music videos.
Heck
We're going to be talking about some of our favorite ones, maybe some bad ones if we want to. Because, I mean, that's just a very interesting art form.
Yeah, yeah. And in music videos falls under the film umbrella. There's a lot of filmmakers, including David Fincher, who got his start in film from doing music videos.
Yeah.
And they're really interesting. They are, like you said, they're a really interesting art form. And I'm excited to talk about them because I have some favorite music videos that I just remember. Like, there's just moments I remember from music videos, and they're really interesting. So might talk on that, might speak on the name. But
right. Well, hell yeah. We'll see you then. And, oh my God. Who's that at the door?
Hello?
Is that? Oh God. It's the representative of Twitter.
It's Mr. Representative of Film Twitter.
No.
What's up? Is that a gun?
Oh no.
Oh no.
They're gonna shoot us for this bit's really undeveloped. They're gonna shoot us for something. For shooting up.
For shooting up heroin. Film Twitter's gonna kill us.
Insert gun sound effect here.